Hey, welcome to the channel. It's Noble Credit. On this channel, I try to help you travel for free using credit card rewards, points, things like that. And also, I try to help out military personnel. So, salute to you guys. I'm also an active duty service member. And in this video today, we're going to be talking about the trip that we took to Nantucket / Martha's Vineyard / Cape Cod, all that stuff. The clips that you're seeing right now is Boston. We stayed in Boston that first night just because my wife had arrived late, so we stayed in Boston in Dedham in a suburb, and then we drove down to Cape Cod the very next morning because we had a ferry to take. And here's Hyannis. This is the ferry port that you're gonna take if you want to go to Nantucket from Cape Cod, or it's one of the ferry ports. The ferries are not very expensive at all, but you could get better pricing. This ferry in particular, I don't remember exactly how much it costs, but it doesn't cost that much, is what I'm saying. I'll give you an itinerary of the trip. So we wanted to go to Boston and then down to Cape Cod because we actually stayed in Cape Cod. We didn't stay in Nantucket. Nantucket, very expensive place to stay. We stayed in a very expensive spot in Cape Cod as well. But like I said, we're using credit card points and credit card rewards. So, you know, it was a Four Seasons by Marriott, which is up in that northern hook of Cape Cod. Did I say Four Seasons or 4 Points? Hopefully I said 4 Points by Sheraton, but it's in that northern hook by Cape Cod. By the way, look at these videos. These images and videos are actually amazing of that ocean, and that's the coastline. Yeah, so very expensive place to stay. That's why I highly recommend that you use credit card rewards to your advantage, because we wouldn't have been able to take this trip without it. Could we afford the trip? Sure, but you know, it would have cost way more money. Instead, we stay for free. That's what I recommend. But anyways, Nantucket, it was our first stop, and then we came back to Cape Cod, and then we went to Rhode Island, and then we came back to Cape Cod, and then we went to Martha's Vineyard that third and final day, and then we came back to Cape Cod and flew out. So here we're seeing Nantucket, and Nantucket was absolutely beautiful. Highly recommend you go there. You can see the lighthouse there. And getting off the ferry ride was great. It took about an hour. I would say it took about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I know the ferry ride to Martha's Vineyard from Woods Hole, which I'm going to talk about a little later, took less time. It probably took about 45 minutes because these islands actually are a little further away, so that's why it took so long. That's why it took so long. So our first stop in Nantucket was the Whaling Museum. Now, the Whaling Museum has a lot of history to it. We got to learn a lot about the settlement of Nantucket, the natives that were there, and how Nantucket really was and kind of is still considered the whaling capital of the world. For such a small island, you wouldn't really think that this is like the whaling capital. There's got to be somewhere to put. Nope, this is the whaling capital of the world. And then we learned that the island's population is over 10,000. So it's hard to believe that 10,000 people are living on this small island, but they are. They somehow managed to fit. But the Whaling Museum was absolutely beautiful, and we have a sperm whale skeleton there, and they also had the movie for that. We didn't see the movie. We spent a lot of time there, but these are harpoons, and one of the other things I learned in the Whaling Museum is that they use these things called lances to kill whales as well. So they stab the whales in their ribs to damage the whale's heart and lungs. So I had no idea about lances before going into this Whaling Museum, so we learned a lot. And then we started going further upstairs into the Whaling Museum and learning more, seeing the different types of whales that they would catch. Also, it gave us an idea of the economics of the area, what spurred on no longer being the whaling capital of the world as far as like the gold rush. So we got like blue whales, sperm whales, killer whales. And then we go further up into the Whaling Museum, and we get a good glimpse of the entire island from this point, and it's just a beautiful view. We're very fortunate to have taken this trip. We highly recommend that you go to the Whaling Museum if you get the chance, because there's also a kids section for those of you with children, and that children's section had a lot of different activities in it. So definitely recommend that. This was probably the highlight. It costs a little bit of money to get into the Whaling Museum, but I'm sure if you're going to Nantucket and you don't go, you should go to the Whaling Museum. We later got ice cream. I wanted to try the lobster ice cream, but I didn't want to risk it. Ice cream is kind of expensive, and it wasn't something I wanted to risk. So I ended up getting something probably more normal. But yeah, Nantucket's actually a really expensive place to be. We were seeing real estate there selling for millions of dollars. I'm like, who's buying this? But there are very rich people. We got to see a wedding that was there. We didn't attend the wedding, of course. And then we ended up going into this bar. What was this bar's name? I think it was called the Charlie Noble, where I wanted to get a lobster roll. And yeah, I think the lobster roll was pretty good. Oh, by the way, this lady right here, absolutely rude. She was a bartender there. Absolutely rude. Maybe she'll see this one day. Don't be rude to your customers, lady. And we just walked more down the streets in Nantucket. My wife wanted to go into the jewelry store there. She really wanted something, but I had to tell her, babe, this stuff's kind of junk. They had lights to make it look like this stuff was really nice material, but it wasn't. I had to let her know that. But we finished with the Nantucket portion of the trip. We came back to Cape Cod. Next day, we planned on going to Martha's Vineyard, but we ended up having to go to Rhode Island because it was raining, and we didn't want the rain to ruin the Martha's Vineyard portion of the trip. So we visited Brown University, and then we went to a cliff walk, and that cliff walk was beautiful. The coast was beautiful. I'd never been to Rhode Island before, but I must say the architecture in Rhode Island was, I didn't like it, but I'm glad we went. We didn't finish the entire cliff walk because, like I said, it was raining that day. So we came back to Cape Cod. Oh, look at that beautiful man right there. That woman is actually pretty happy. She just looks upset in that video. She's really happy. And then look at these two old ladies are just staring at me. What are you guys looking at? Anyways, this is the ferry to Martha's Vineyard that we took from Woods Hole in Cape Cod. Like, this lady had a problem with me or something. I don't know what it was. Anyways, there's a handsome man there. Feel free to leave a like on the video, by the way. And here is the beautiful blue water on that ferry ride. Which ferry ride was better? I would say the cheaper ferry ride was better. The ferry ride from Woods Hole was cheaper, so that one was better. But either way, they're both good. It's just that the one from Woods Hole from Cape Cod to Martha's Vineyard took only 45 minutes, whereas the ferry to Nantucket took like an hour or an hour and 30 minutes, or one of the two. So we're leaving the ferry right here, and we get to Oaks Bluff, which is the port in Martha's Vineyard that we took the ferry to. So it might be a little confusing taking the ferries to different spots, but you'll figure it out. The first stop we did was at the corner store, right when you kind of land or touch down. And yeah, it was a really good time that we had. We rode bikes. So there's a few things that you can do. We visited lighthouses. We did a number of really interesting things. But yeah, that was our time in Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them in the comment section below. And if you want to know more about how we use credit card points, miles, and benefits to take this vacation to Cape Cod and Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket for free, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I will be releasing more credit card videos. And make sure you leave a like on the video. Peace.
Woo!